This figure shows the different lymphoid organs: the spleen, the thymus, tonsils, Peyer's patches, and the appendix. Let's begin with the spleen. It is located in the upper left quadrant. Here is the spleen in the illustration, deep to the rib cage. In order to get your bearings, let me point out some of the other organs in this illustration: the liver, the stomach, small intestine, colon, and pancreas. The spleen is supplied by the splenic artery and drained by the splenic vein. These vessels enter and leave the spleen at the concave region called the hilum. The spleen is your largest lymphoid organ, about the size of your fist. It has several functions. It filters your blood. Macrophages located within the spleen carry out this function. They eliminate or remove blood-borne pathogens, as well as destroy worn out or damaged red blood cells and platelets. When red blood cells are destroyed, the hemoglobin is broken down. Iron is removed from the heme and stored by macrophages. The second function is the activation and proliferation of lymphocytes. The spleen is a secondary lymphoid organ, which means that it is a lymphoid organ where lymphocytes encounter their antigens for the first time. When they encounter their antigens, they become activated and begin dividing. Proliferation, recall, is dividing. A third function is hematopoiesis, or blood cell formation, in the fetus. The spleen carries out this function until about the 28th week. At that point, the red bone marrow takes over. The spleen also acts as a blood reservoir. It can store up to a cup of blood. The size of the spleen will vary based on the needs of the body and how much blood is being stored. This reservoir can become important when there is a loss of blood, such as in hemorrhaging. It will be used to help maintain blood volume. Lastly, the spleen stores monocytes and platelets. Monocytes from the spleen will be the first to arrive to the heart when a myocardial infarction or heart attack occurs. It is also a reservoir for B memory cells. I'll discuss the function of B memory cells with immunity. Let's look at the structure of the spleen. It is covered by a fibrous connective tissue capsule. The capsule moves inward to form tuberculae. It consists of two distinct regions when it is fresh: the white pulp, which is light in color. The white pulp is the site where immune function occurs. Follicles are located within the white pulp, and this is where lymphocytes encounter their antigens for the first time. The white pulp is arranged around central arteries, which branch off of the splenic artery. It also consists of reticular fiber as well as the lymphocytes, and has an internal stroma. Recall, this is the internal framework created by the reticular fibers. The red pulp is the site where the old or worn out red blood cells and blood-borne pathogens are destroyed. This is done by the macrophages, as mentioned earlier. Within the red pulp are splenic cords. These consist of reticulocytes, reticular fibers, and macrophages. The splenic cords are adjacent to vascular sinuses. Endothelial cells that make up the wall of the vascular sinuses have intercellular clefts. When red blood cells are damaged, worn out, or have intracellular parasites, they become enlarged. Any red blood cell that is too large to go through the intercellular clefts will be eliminated by the macrophages. This is how the macrophages determine which cells to phagocytize.